I definitely leaning towards Jim Miller here, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's hard not to.
Yeah, those Miller brothers they're so beastie, you know. And Danzig, when he looked really frustrated against Clay Guida, that said something too. Like he just looked pissed off and stressed out, and you know that's not a good thing.
Well, and if you got someone like the new term beastie coming after you. Thanks, beastie. Robin, for the new one.
Yeah, it's good.
And he's going to have the Clay Guida kind of activity.
Yeah,
he's going to get shut down, right?
But the people that I know and that I train with that come from Extreme Couture in Vegas, they say that Danzig is like a crazy hard worker and he's super committed.
Right.
He's really driven and he works real hard. So I mean, that's going to be a good fight. I bet.
Let's see.
Yeah.
All right, cool. The 400-year-old Mark Coleman versus Stephan Bonnar.
Yeah, you don't want to have a bad word to say about Mark Coleman.
No, he's a great guy.
Legendary, a deserved UFC Hall of Famer. You know, he's a stud. Props to him for getting back in there at his advanced age. But yeah, I just think Stephan Bonnar is going to be too much for him in this fight. Not that Bonnar is a world beater, and he's had his issues here and there, but I heard a lot of people jumping back on the Coleman bandwagon after the fight with Hua, telling me, hey, Coleman looked really good against Shogun, didn't you think? And no, I didn't think that at all, to be honest with you.
Me neither.
I thought he looked old and tired and slow, and honestly, Shogun didn't impress me too much in that fight. So I think you have to lean towards Bonnar.
I was blown away when they added that as another fight of the night that night. Like, it really looked like two, beaten fighters that were just... hey, it was amazing to see guys with that kind of guts and heart. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. And Coleman showed that in that fight as he gutted it out. But, yeah, I don't think he can handle Stephan Bonnar. But
I think it's just the basic math that he fought in UFC 10.
Yeah.
And now he's fighting in UFC 100.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. So that means he's going to lose.
Yeah, you'd have to think, unless he fought in UFC 10 when he was, 16 or something.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But she didn't.
Yeah.
But it'll be cool to see him on there, and you get the feeling that Dana White and them they have a huge amount of respect for guys like Mark Coleman. So it's cool that they give him a shot like that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're just adding a 0 on your previous fight.
Yeah.
All right. So we already talked about Yoshiro and Alan Belcher.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun fight, man.
Great fight.
It's definitely developed a lot of character, in the past couple of weeks. These guys kind of amped up the trash talk a little bit, and I like it. Henderson is a stud. You can't say too much about Henderson, man. The dual belt holder in Pride. Just a mean guy out there with the wrestling and the ground and pound. But I'm actually leaning towards Michael Bisping in this. I think Bisping has looked like a stud at 185 pounds. I thought Franklin exposed some ways to beat Henderson and also showed what needs to happen to avoid the loss. I mean, there's a lot of people that make a case and that'll argue with you, to the end that Franklin won that fight. And I think Bisping can follow a real similar game plan. And I'm actually looking for the upset in this fight.
Cool, John. You are officially crazy.
Yeah, well, I was actually going to say you're a very smart man. Like, you actually sound really intelligent when you talk with me. We sound like idiots.
Yeah, no, you structure your sentences well. You throw a few words plus and minus, but you are now officially crazy.
See, he sold me on that. No. It's funny, we both heard the same thing, and he completely sold me on
Henderson's going to win no problem.
Well,
not no problem. It's going to be a challenging fight. But he is going to finally expose Bisping for the overhyped fighter that he is, who really isn't fighting at the level that Henderson will be.
I don't know, man. I like what Wolf Flair's doing, man. I think they've got a mean crew over there. I mean, you can't say that working with Rampage Jackson on a daily basis isn't going to help you improve your wrestling.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're doing some good things over there in England, and I don't know, man. I think you might want to keep your eye on this one.
Oh, yeah. I'll keep my eye on it, so that way I can then send you a quick text afterwards to basically laugh in your face.
John completely sold me on that. About 20 minutes ago, if you asked me, I'd say, Henderson's going to blow through him. But you know what? After hearing him say that with some conviction in his voice, I'm with him.
Cool.
I'm going with it.
What did you pick on SureDog?
I did not pick that one on Sure. Hey, John, check this out. I'm a 1-2 fighter that most people think is a douchebag, and they actually quote me in the pros picks on SureDog.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Right there.
How do you even get that?
They just came to me.
Completely retarded.
Honestly, they just sent me an email one day, and I even sent back to the guy, and I was like, "Really? Are you sure you want my opinion?" And he's
like, "Was it like a wrong number or anything?"
Yeah, it probably was the wrong number.
No, I think it's cool.
They were probably looking for Dobbin Rack.
Maybe, yeah.
But and ended up with loser.
Hey, do you read these other? Speaking of, do you read these other websites, or are you just you junkie? I mean, they're really just writing a lot of similar stories to what you're writing. I mean, do you bother?
Yeah, I tried to. I mean, it's tough. Obviously, we spend so much time working on our website that it's tough to do that. But there's some great writers at other sites, man, and I really enjoy, some of the other sites out there. Probably the news sites, like you said, the big news sites, a lot of people are chasing after the same story and writing the same thing. So it's not necessarily, something that you can spend a lot of time doing. But I always make some time every day to go to Fight Linker and check that out, man. I like those boys. They do something a little bit different.
Those are our boys, Fight Linker. That's cool. I'm glad you like that. They're going to love hearing you say that. Okay, let's move on to the big
next
ones.
We gotta move on now.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got Fitch versus Thiago.
Yeah, Thiago looked great in his last fight out. I saw him sneak up on some top 10 lists in some people's rankings. That's just insane.
Yeah.
Fitch is a beast. His loss to St. Pierre, there's no shame in that. He took him 25 minutes.
Oh, yeah, he was awesome.
I still have Fitch ranked over Alves in my personal rankings. I think he's the number 2 welterweight in the world, and I don't think there's any way you can even make a case.
I'm with you there. I think that's just, hey, can we please avenge that loss that my teammate had? Thanks a lot for having us out. I don't think there's much going on there. Here either. Okay, and then GSP.
George St. Pierre versus Thiago Alves.
Let me tell you what I'm thinking here, John. I honestly see GSP doing exactly what he's been doing and literally just blow through him, take him down, pass the half, pound away for 3 rounds. Really, I mean...
There's 5 rounds, though.
Oh, yeah. Sweet. So finish him at the end of the 3rd round.
Yeah, what's he going to do for the last 2 rounds?
Yeah, he's going to finish him at the end. He's going to finish him at the end of the 3rd.
Cool. So what do you think, John?
I don't think there's any way you can pick against GSP at this point in time. He's just on such a roll, and he's proven himself on a different level. But I will say this: I think Alves is as tough of a task as people are putting out there. I mean, Alves has fought some great wrestlers, maybe not as great as GSP, but he has fought some solid grapplers. I don't think St. Pierre has fought any strikers as strong, as powerful, as talented as Alves really is, and so I'm excited to see this fight. Excited to see how St. Pierre handles that, but in the end, I think you're right. I think his superior wrestling, ends up winning this fight.
Well, if GSP makes the mistake of trying to stand with him for a lengthy period of time, he's going to open himself up for the opportunity, right?
I think he has to at least threaten his striking for a bit. I mean, you have to. You shoot on him, you end up with him on top pounding on you, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, but obviously he's a smart guy, so I think he's going to have a bit of a strategy on how to go about doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes from a great camp. Obviously, they game plan extremely well, and they've got to realize that the longer the fight remains on the feet, the more and more dangerous it gets for St. Pierre.
True.
Yeah.
Man, that game plan against BJ Penn, when you heard the subtleties of it, when they were talking about tiring out his smaller shoulders and shit, that you were just like, these guys are on another level, really. So yeah, but I think most people have got to go with GSP on that, but you never know. I mean, a big guy like that, he hits you on the jaw. I mean, Matt Serra can knock him out. I've heard a lot of people say that, obviously, but if he can get knocked out by Matt Serra, he can get knocked out by Thiago Alves.
Oh, that's anything can happen.
St. Pierre's on a roll, and there's no reason to pick against him, but don't write Thiago Alves off. Right. This is going to be a test.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, now we've got Frank Mir versus Brock Lesnar.
I'll be honest with you, man. I'm one of those guys that kind of hates the fact that the UFC's heavyweight champion is an ex-professional wrestler. I'll be honest with that. There's a little stigma attached to it, and there was nothing more than I would love to see than Frank Mir go in there and submit him. But I'll be honest, I think Lesnar takes this. I think he's come a long way in the time since their first fight. I thought he looked a lot more calm, a lot more patient in the Herring fight. Same with the Randy Couture fight. And the strength and the size at some point does mean something. And I'm actually leaning towards Lesnar taking this.
Huh. Yeah, you know what? I find it interesting because Mir probably has a slight advantage standing up these days, but I mean, Lesnar's fists are the size of bowling balls, and Randy said that when he took that glancing blow off the head, it was like taking a glancing blow with a bowling ball, and it's going to knock you out. So Mir might have the slight advantage there, but he's in danger the whole time.
Well, he just needs to be hit once.
Yeah, that's it. He has less.
So if Mir can dodge most everything. And barely get clipped,
right?
And then, land a bunch of shit.
Then he gets taken down. Then he gets taken down.
But then if Lesnar starts to get rocked at all, he's just going to take Mir down anyway.
And if it's a game of Lesnar pounding hammer fists and Mir looking for submissions, that's not a very good game to be playing. I mean, that's not a good. It worked once. It's not a good way to play MMA. And when you train with anybody, you don't play jiu-jitsu off your back with a big wrestler pounding with hammer fists. At the same time, what the hell? Mir could submit him.
Well,